Hi, grade 4-5s, Miss Mazzola here again. We are going to continue learning about time. Yesterday we touched just on the basics and a little bit of background about everything. So we talked about time zones, why we have different time zones. We know that we are Eastern Standard Time here. We talked about analog clocks and digital clocks and what the differences are. We talked about military time and standard time. Okay, and then of course we looked at just the basics of a clock. So how the long hand tells us the minutes, how the short hand tells us the hours. So we're going to be focusing a little bit more on that today, which is just to actually tell time on a traditional analog clock. So I have made some step-by-step how-to here. So our first step, you look at the hours hand, okay? We know that the hours hand is our small hand. Okay, so that's our small hand. It points to the big numbers on the clock. Okay, that tells us what hour it is. Now the confusing thing is that sometimes the hour hand will be in between two numbers. It's still the lower number, okay? Always remember that. It's still the lower number. And I'll tell you why. And I apologize in advance because this clock is brand new. I ordered it online so that I could teach you guys time. And because it's new, the numbers are a little bit stiff. So, the hands on the clock are a little bit stiff, so they're not going around as easy. But I'll do my best to explain. So, okay, right now it says, okay, so let's say 4 o'clock. We know it's 4 o'clock because our hour hand is pointed at 4 and it's right up to 12, which we don't, and that's 60 minutes, but we don't say it's 4:60, we say it's 4 o'clock. Okay, and I'm going to hold this here, as the time starts going around, so as the minutes start moving, this doesn't just stay at 4 o'clock until it's 5 o'clock. No. As the minute starts going around, the hour hand starts slowly moving. So when it's about halfway, when it's about see what I mean? When it's about 4:30, it will be half. But it's not 5 yet, so we're not even going to bother saying anything to do with 5. It's 4:30, okay? And then you'll see it get really close to 5 when it's almost 5 o'clock, so it'll be somewhere around there. But it's still not 5 o'clock yet, okay? So we're still saying 4 and then whatever the minutes are until it gets to 5 o'clock. Okay, so if you see an hour hand that's between two numbers, whatever number it is, always go with the lower number, okay, because it's still in that hour. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, hold on, we're losing clocks here. Okay, online learning, here we go. Our second rule, look at the minute hand. So we already know what hour it is. That was our first step. And now you're going to look at the minute hand. So each small tick on the clock is 1 minute, and every big hour number is 5 minutes. So what does this mean? Sometimes you'll be really lucky and you'll look at a clock and it has all these little ticks on it. And then it makes it a lot easier. But sometimes they won't have them and you just have to rely on the bigger numbers. So what does that mean? We know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Between each number, there is 5 minutes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so at the 1, that's 5 minutes. So it makes it easier instead of counting all the little ticks. If you know your 5 times tables and you know how to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, then it's easier to tell time. So, for example, let's pretend the time is somewhere like that. You know that it's not at 4 yet, so it's still 3 something. And because it's almost at 4, because the minutes are almost at the o'clock, it's almost at 4. That's why the hour hand is almost at 4. But it's not 4 yet, so we're still working on 3. But what are the minutes? So you count. Instead of counting all the little ticks, you just know that each big number represents 5 minutes. So you start at 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So the time is 3:50. Okay? I'll start writing it down for you so that you can see it. So let's do another one. Let's say, and you're lucky because this clock actually has the minutes outlined here just to help you, but most clocks won't have that. Okay, so we're starting with our rules. 5, right? That's our hour hand. That's where we start. And we gotta go to the minutes. So 5, 10, 15. So it is 5:15. And I don't have a whiteboard marker, so if I write on here with my markers, it won't erase, so I'll have to do this. So that's what let's straighten that out. That is what 5:15 looks like written down. Okay? So reading the time. We did 2 examples. So usually, like the way I just did it, you start by saying the hour and then the minutes. 3:15, 4:30, 5:25, okay, whatever it is. That's the normal way to say it. We know that if the minute hand is on the 12, we don't say 4:60 or 5:60. We say 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, okay? So if it's at the 12, the minute hand is at the 12, it's o'clock. And lastly, you can also say how much time there is until the next hour. This is when you become very comfortable with time. I'll show you an example, because sometimes you might hear adults say things like this. So, you wouldn't say it unless it's after the half hour. Okay, and let's just say, so it's 5 something, right? Because it's in between 5 and 6, and we always go with the lower number because we're still in the 5th hour. We haven't hit 6 o'clock yet. It's 5 something, and we see the minute hand here is at 45. Okay, we're lucky we have the time here on this clock, but we could always count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So we can say 5:45. That is perfectly acceptable. Sometimes people will say it's 1:45. Why would it be 1:45? We know that a quarter is 1/4, okay? We just did our fractions. We know a quarter is 1/4. And if you break up a clock exactly into a pie of 4 pieces, it leaves 15 minutes on each quarter. So each quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. This is 1/4. So it's 1:45. So if you say it's 5:45, it means it's 15 minutes to 6. Or you can say, let's say it's 5:15. That's a quarter. You could say it's 5:15. Okay? So you can use the clock in quarters, or you can say how much time is left if you want to do something like this. And let's say it's almost 6, but not quite, and the time is here. You can say it's how many minutes to 6. Starting from this, we know that this is 5. This is worth 5 minutes, right? 40 to 45, this is worth 5 minutes. 10, 20, 25. Sorry, 5, 10, 15, 20. So from 40 to 60 minutes, that leaves 20 minutes. So we can say it's 20 to 6. Okay? Or traditional way, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It's 5:40. Okay? And I'll write that down for you. So you can say it's 5:40. or it's 20 to 6. Okay, either way works. Or again, you can use quarter to, quarter after. You know that if the minute hand is at the 6, we should all know that that's 30, because 30 is half of 60, and that is a half an hour. It means it's a half an hour because 30 is half of 60, and there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I am going to give you a few images of the clock with the number on it, and I want you to just write in this form what time it is. That is how you are going to give me your answers. So, for example, I would put an image that says number 1, and that, so you're going to give me the answer number 1, and I might say to write the time for this image, and you'll write number 1 and you'll write whatever this time is for your answer. Okay? Hope everyone was able to follow along. Hope you're finding this nice and easy. Please let me know if you are still confused before we move on. Have a nice day. Bye, grade 4-5s.